welcome back to another issue of the First Issue Club. I am your new surrogate replacement starter host for this week's episode, Greg Lichtai. Mike D cannot be with us. He is, if you can believe it, at another place right now watching another podcast record live like a sociopath, instead of being here to do his own show about comic books that he supposedly
he said his wife bought tickets for a podcast, and I assumed it was us. I assumed she was just going to be sitting in the studio with us.
He could have saved a ton of money and just watched us do this show on Riverside.
Yeah.
We're, if not more entertaining than some soccer podcast he's going to see.
I'm sure he'd rather be here.
Well, he's here in spirit. As you can hear, Andy Vargas is here.
Hey, everybody.
And then we are joined by, I would consider, two pillars of the comic book podcasting community. None other than the comic book gentleman, Chris Hacker of the Oblivion Bar podcast.
Hello.
And Badr Milligan from the Short Box podcast.
Just like Sue Storm, we love a good read.
Damn, you beat me to it, Chris. I wanted it. Wow. Good job. That was good. You delivered it strong too.
That's right.
If we're two pillar, we're like the two pillars holding up Chuck E. Cheese. You know, just a bunch of laughs and clowns in this building that we're pillar.
Cheap
burning.
pizza and cheap beer. That's all that we're holding up right now. If you are fans of our show, you know that we talk about the Short Box and Oblivion Bar all the time. We did a panel with them at C2E2 nigh a month ago. Has it been that long?
Oh my God.
Has it been? It's been like 2 months.
Did you say nigh a month ago?
I took a course at the Learning Annex. And,
did you learn Norse? Did you learn
ye old English? I'm actually helping Al Ewing edit his
nigh a month ago. Oh, okay. That's why it's so accurate and feels
Verily.
so grounded.
Your editor on Immortal 4.
Stupid.
So in lieu of Mike D being unable to be here, I took it upon myself to let
Bring in the
loose
big guns?
complete anarchy onto the First Issue Club by having Chris and Badr here.
Shit's gonna get weird, everybody.
You are now getting just a peek into what a text chain is between us. In live form for all to hear. So
if one of us segregates off from the group chat, or if there's hurt feelings at some point, the one person that leaves has to do is show the group chat, and it's anarchy in the comic book podcasting world. It would tumble. It would tumble governments. There would be heads on spikes. It would be absolute anarchy.
And Chris
just we have.
Chris just ripped up his membership card. You know, the number one rule about comic book gents text thread is not to talk about comic book gents
You don't talk about
text
comic book
thread.
gents text club.
Text club's good.
Well, guys, truly in the 11th hour, I called upon you to come onto the show, and you were more willing than I had anticipated, and you canceled every plan you had. I know Chris had a big day. He interviewed BKV.
Come on.
Little indie
Come
career,
on.
the up and comer.
Yo, can I show Chris a little love? A little loud. Let's show him a little love. Come on. Yeah, I mean,
even with all of our promotional money, we have yet to buy a fucking soundboard for this show.
Where's that Patreon money going?
You know, Greg,
our comic book collection.
Greg, that might be to the benefit of your show, because I mean, if you guys are anything like us, I mean, we're using our powers for just annoyance. I don't know if the F.I.C. I think you guys are too classy for this cheap gimmick right here.
Yeah,
well,
we record at Mike D's house, and that would definitely not be the case if Greg had a fart button.
Right. We would use it once, and the next time we record, Mike D would have it in shambles and pieces in a box, just like, here's your stupid box back. You're never going to use it again. So yeah, we're going to talk about the first issues that we read this week, obviously, and then we got some comic book news to go over, ranging from the normal comic book announcements to the absolute lunacy of trademark and parody and what it means to be a complete dipshit of creator. So strap in, folks. It's going to be another wonderful episode of the First Issue Club with a couple more nuts thrown in than usual. But before we get going, we have to say thank you to Boulevard Brewing Company for supplying us with Space Camper IPA. Yum, yum, gimme some down in my tum-tum. The taste that'll send you to the moon. We don't have any mixers this time. I know I made the decree last episode that we're going to make a new Boulevard drink with Space Camper, but I think the lawyers at Boulevard emailed me and said, please don't do that. That's very much against the rules.
Don't do that.
Go ahead.
Can I say that I'm not? I mean, I'll go ahead and put my man card on the table up for debate, but I'm not an IPA fan. But the way you guys talk about Boulevard Brewing Space IPA, I fucking want to try some, man.
So the thing about the Space Camper line is it's made for people exactly like you and I. I'm just like, they've heard about IPAs and are just like, I don't want my taste buds to get stomped into oblivion and just like have a bitter face for the rest of the day.
Stomped is a great word for that. That's what IPA
destroys
tastes
your
like.
palate for the rest of the night.
It's like It's like Rick James on Charlie Murphy's couch. That's what it feels like drinking IPA.
Basically what it is. IPAs were meant for people that are really snooty about beer and want to like really test their love
ABVs
for alcohol.
Does this have?
Yeah. But what Boulevard has done is they've added like crisper notes of like fruits and other citrus flavors to kind of mute the IPA powerfulness and to make it a more enjoyable drink than your standard IPA. They have, the Cosmic IPA is their mainstay, and then they have these different characters throughout their line that specialize in different flavors, and they're based off different characters. And so it's just a fantastic line of drinks, and maybe I'll send you some in the mail.
Oh, that
just empty cans.
I think we have plans to go to Planet Comic-Con next year, Badr. So I think
that is right. I could try it out myself.
Get a little white girl wasted on some Boulevard.
Come on
we
now.
Will gladly ruin your livers if you come to Planet Comic-Con.
Wet and Wild over there in KC. I'll tell you right now. So I had a very distinct craft beer stage of my life. I want to say it was like 21 to like 25, where I would just, if the ABV was not above 12, I didn't want it. So that there's
You're
just
drinking straight up mead.
The thing is though, as I've gotten a little bit older, I think once I got into like, I would say my late 20s, early 30s, I was like, just give me a Bud Select or a seltzer. You can make fun of me all you want. I've been there. I've lived in the gastropub, brew pub era. I've done all that, and I still enjoy an IPA. I would actually more prefer like an APA, an American Pale Ale, more than anything. Because while I enjoy the bitterness, I don't like having like you said earlier, Greg, I don't like my palate being stomped to death. So I enjoy a nice crafted beer. But I'm totally fine with like a High Noon and a Fireball. And you guys know how much I love a Fireball.
Oh, yes, we do.
Circa
we do.
C2E2.
I can't remember some parts of Chicago because of that.
Oh, yeah.
So moving on to the news portion, I want to get through these like smaller notes because, Andy, you brought to my attention something that I want to spend the majority of the news section on because it's kind of wild.
It's wild.
And we'll get into it when we get there. But Petrol Head, the comic from Rob Williams on Image Comics, I don't know if you guys saw this, was recently optioned by the same studio that did the virtual effects for like all the X-Men movies.
Oh wow!
So whether that means it's going to be computer animated or or like it's just normal cartoon or whatever, I was telling Chris over on the Patreon that I'm super excited that this comic specifically is going through the motions to be optioned because it's been one of the most versatile and kind of uniquely drawn comics that I've seen come out lately, and more specifically, the focus on automobiles and like robots is so unique. It's kind of wild that like it's like a Daniel Warren Johnson Mad Max story, and it's I can't wait for it to make the transition into like the anime form that it's gonna eventually become.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too that the X-Men movie that the production company did was X-Men: Days of Future Past, which, in my opinion, is one of the better looking X-Men movies of that time. So, yeah, and Petrol Head is a great book. It's one of those fun creator-owned books, recent books that it's fun to hand to people and sort of show them what like a small creator-owned miniseries is what it can do. So excited. And then I think it's important to also note Parr. Their artwork is incredible. They do a lot of the covers as well. Very, like you said, very Daniel Warren Johnson. That's very phonetic, sort of energetic, a lot of automatopoeias, a lot of hard black lines, all that.
You can't have a comic book without a good onomatopoeia.
That's
right.
That
is just a staple.
What's your favorite onomatopoeia? I don't want to get on too much of a tangent, but
we're on a podcast. We have to.
Foom is my favorite onomatopoeia.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
got to be thwip.
Thwip.
Oh, come on, Snick is the shit. But what about I don't think it's ever been spelled like that, but I always enjoy doing Cyclops's kind of onomatopoeia. Wait, minute. All right, you know what? Terrible example.
You
had it.
I think we were getting there. I don't know.
What would his? Yeah, skirt.
To me, my X-Men.
All
right. All right. I don't know why Cyclops even came up. I think as kids we used to, I don't know, fuck around and play as Cyclops.
We want to make fun of Greg for not being a Slim fan because he's a Slim hater.
All right, but how about this? How about because I was about to throw in Bamf. I think Bamf is like a really good onomatopoeia.
Bamf's a classic one.
What's a non-Marvel one? Like a general comic book non-Marvel one? Because I think is it safe to say Marvel has the best onomatopoeias out there?
Yeah, they're kind of like there's a large focus on it. Of course, you have Batman's bang, pow, zip. All those are made famous.
But those feel kind of. I mean, did he make them famous, or is that just like I
think it's most attributed to the like Adam West Batman era. That was like kind of.
I see your match.
A pivotal point. I know that like Rorschach said Herm a lot, like HRM.
Yeah.
And like it seems kind of dumb to be like, oh yeah, like. He said, but like if you read Watchmen, you're just like, he fucking does say that a lot.
Yeah. You know what? I think as the episode progresses, we should just yell out our favorite onomatopoeias as they come to us.
I'm cheating right now.
If we stay on here long enough, they're just going to come out naturally.
I'm cheating. I'm looking at a House of Secrets Volume 2 omnibus, and one that I really liked that I just opened up to was Zump, which is a snake being like thrown across the room. ZUMP.
Sure.
Zump. Classic
I love the
Zump.
idea that, like, a creator has the opportunity to make up the very first onomatopoeia for something that's never happened. Yeah. Like hitting a snake with a broom. Yeah. Or like hitting like something with something else. You're just like, oh fuck, yes, I gotta be the first one to draw this. What is it gonna sound like? And like from then on out, you're known as the Thwip guy or something.
Yeah. The Foom came up in William of Newbury #1 last week. So that's where it kind of, and obviously Foom was that iconic magazine from the 70s with Marvel. But like when at one point William, he like pulls out his rod and he's got the Foom behind him. I was like, oh, that's a fucking great use of Foom, man. Good job, Michael. Way to go. It's like the what's that yell that's in the movies that you always hear? The
Wilhelm.
The Wilhelm,
Wilhelm
yell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Petrol Head becoming a movie. Awesome.
Thanks for bringing it back, Greg.
Can I go ahead and say that I'm sorry. I remember when I was first recommended Petrol Head, I think it was like issue 1. I was not at my local shop. I was at another shop I stopped in. And the person behind the counter was like, yo, you should read Petrol Head. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. I never got around to it. And then I was sent volume 1, like a review copy from Image. And I was like, I think I'll probably read it in trade. But now hearing that my favorite people have co-signed this book, I guess I'm gonna have to check it out. Greg, I really liked your description of it being like Mad Max and anime. That's like, I think that was the sell I needed to actually get my ass up and read this.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing a lot of influence of that lately, like specifically with Petrol Head and I Heart Skull Crusher. Like we're seeing this really not infiltration, but like heavy influences of manga into these younger creators into American comics. And soon it's just going to be like a Reese's peanut butter cup of artistry, and it's going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it got me thinking about Astrobots. The mech comic book that's out through Massive Publishing. Yeah, Massive Publishing. And like the anime influence in that, but also obviously the mechs, I mean, hell, it's either drawn or written by the guy that made like Transformer comics, like legit. So written. Okay, thank you. So yeah, I do see that we are getting, I don't know. Yeah, I guess like robots and cars are kind of like a hot theme in comics.
Robots in disguise as cars. It's just like the sky's the limit.
You know
for
what?
those
Speaking
things.
about automatopoeias, how about any Transformers automatopoeia? There we go. Nailed that,
There
baby.
you go.
That's the sound that Optimus Prime made when he died.
Oh,
Too soon?
Too soon.
Speaking
Spoiler
of,
alert.
Speaking of death, today was the official end of the croquet
almost. Oh,
Croquet era.
judges are giving that one a hard 8. That was a hard 8.
Oh, you know what I mean.
This is the
But
death of the
Jonathan
croquet.
Hickman's
The
croquet age.
the croquet.
They're out on the
The
lawn.
crochet era.
Are you telling me-
Krakoan Age.
Are you telling me the
There's too
X-Men
many
croaked
goddamn
finally?
talking heads on this fucking episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it started in 2019, and it is a fascinating introspective look at the X-Men and who they are. I think Jonathan Hickman did something that hasn't really been done yet with X-Men, which is hard because I think everything's been done with the X-Men, where they turn themselves into a brand pretty much. They were making this medicine that could cure all. They kind of made themselves a sovereignty, which isn't really new, but like it felt fresh in the Krakoan era. And this X-Men era seemed to hit really hard for a vast majority of comic book fans, specifically X-Men heads. And I saw today online on social media a lot of kind of pining and like heartfelt messages from these people of just like, you know, kind of some retrospective of maybe themselves and the journey they went through reading these books. And it was interesting to see kind of the comparisons that these people were making and the love that this particular time in X-Men had. I didn't know if you guys maybe felt the same way about the Krakoan era or have a particular fond memory, but feel free to share it now.
You know, Greg, if you don't mind me chiming in here real quick, you nailed it. Like the X-Men or Krakoa feels like the X-Men were elevated. And I'd go to say not just a brand, because you're talking like story specifics where, you know, there's like different titles where we're tackling like, oh, they're making medicine. They're also pharmaceutical. But I think what Hickman did with Krakoa, and I really like his whole entire team, the editors and all that, is they elevated the X-Men almost to like a real culture. You know, when you think of like what defines a culture, like religion, things like food and, you know, dress and, you know, where they live and all this stuff, like he really took the X-Men to like that level. And I remember, you know, that was one thing that really impressed me early on was the thought of everything, like the rituals they had for, you know, being reborn. It was like, holy shit, this isn't just a relaunch by name, but this is like in its DNA. It felt like something fresh. And when you consider how long the X-Men have been, I don't know. It's like, man, this was here the whole time. Like, you know, he found a spot underneath the rock and you're like, oh, wow, shit. I didn't know that it could be taken to this level. So I am a little like, I think what you said earlier also piqued my interest that this is something that, I don't know. It feels, is it too big of a word or hyperbole to say kind of like unprecedented in like comics? Like something of this relaunch.
I mean, when you have a spearhead like Jonathan Hickman and to kick this off, like this could have blown up in Marvel's faces, like and
a lot of chips, a lot of chips on the table for Hickman and his vision.
I mean, truly, I mean, like and to have it succeed so well for so long. I mean, Marvel's is notorious for like just like capping things off at 2 years, just like, hey, let's do something else. Like we got to move on. 5 years in comic books is a goddamn eternity. Well, to have the stories continue on and to grow and to have characters change so dynamically from 2019 to 2024 is just an extreme credit to the creators, to the editing staff, to everyone involved from start to finish. Just completely well done.
Yeah.
I think the thing too that really drew people to it was the X-Men stuff for the last 5 years has felt almost like an imprint of their own at Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, like
You
can read every X-Men book and have no idea what's going on in the rest of the Marvel universe and be completely okay with that, and vice versa, right? I am not an X-boy. You know, I picked up a couple books here and there. I read House and Powers, but that was basically it. And it was fine. I didn't like read an event book and be like, oh man, I missed that issue of whatever X-Men where that thing happened. They were just sequestered in their own world and had their own stuff going on. And I think people really dug that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I really quick, Chris, I think about what Mike D has said on the pod, because correct me if I'm wrong. Like, he was reading, if not at some point or all the way through, like a bunch of X-Men books, right?
I think he's our X-Man.
Yeah. And I think he even went on record saying like, there's some things I just completely don't get. But the way he spoke about the pride he felt like trying to make sense of it and following along, I've seen that echoed among other like diehard X-Men fan, where there is like this badge of honor that to Andy's point, that like it does feel like they're in their own. Hell, Chris is over here moving his camera and showing us every Krakoa book he's got.
I've got
but, I think. Yeah, the fandom for this. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think there's any other fandom as vocal as like X-Men fans when it comes to like comic book readers. I think you could make cases for like live action movie MCU fans, but when it comes to like comic book readers, like us, like X-Men fans are a different breed of loyal, and I think even sometimes like delusional.
Yeah,
loyal and vocal.
Yeah.
Badr,
I said this during our X-Men 97 review, and I stand by it. The X-Men have been sort of, the barrier of entry for me has been tough, right? And at the time that the Krakoa era started, I was actually working at a comic shop, and the buzz behind this was incredible. I mean, outside of the obvious that Hickman was spearheading it, and it was sort of a great jumping on point, I think what truly makes the Krakoan era different from any other era of X-Men is that this is the first time that the X-Men were not ashamed to be X-Men. Like being sort of embarrassed and sort of in the shadows of the Marvel universe has sort of been their calling card, and they have often had to come out of the shadows to help save folks. This was the first time, and I think of a very particular moment where Scott is trying to not only take Sabretooth back to Krakoa, but also inherit or sort of hint that Franklin Richards should be coming and joining the X-Men in Krakoa. And for the first time, I think ever, Reed, the back and forth between Reed and Scott is like, you know what? Franklin's going to make up his mind eventually. And when he makes up his mind, he'll have a home in Krakoa, right? And I just really love that moment. I think that was the first time. And of course, the moments with Professor X and Magneto and Apocalypse and all these people who are like, for the first time, we have our spot, right? And we're not ashamed of it. And if people want what we have, which very clearly they do, they're going to have to come to us because we are our own entity. So
well said.
Yeah,
you're right. It was like X-Men with X-Men had I don't know if it had ever been. Nah, I mean, I guess you could make a case for like 92 X-Men, but like 97 X-Men and all that. But yeah, Chris, to your point, like they had attitude, like they really lived up to how cool they were. And I think to what Greg has said about them being so dynamically different. Like, let's be real, this version of Professor X, this version of Magneto, hell, this version of Cyclops is so vastly different than something like what we got in X-Men 97. And I think if X-Men 97 had been as well received as it had been, I think Krakoa Age probably would have lasted just a little longer.
Yeah. Well, and also I want to say really quickly that when I think about like the Krakoan era, I think that of course they started to the books, man. There was a lot of books. I know I've heard Mike D complain about this a lot. And I think they did a good job with, I showed it off earlier, but like my collection they did a good job of collecting an issue of each book into one trade. So that way you could pick up the trade and it would sort of keep you up with every single title that was going on at the same time. But my main thing that I really still want to know, and it's the thing that's been burning in me since the beginning of the Krakoa era, because I think it was first shown, and I want to say it was like Powers of X or maybe X-Men #1. But I just want to know if Scott and Logan and Jean are a throuple. I just need to know. Like, I know it's not really that important. I know we can sort of infer that they probably are because they're the only rooms that connect within the Krakoan house. But God damn it, just tell me.
They're all kissing.
They just kiss. Just let them kiss.
It's the Olympic Village down there in Krakoa, and we all know it. I think we talked about it on a later episode, but Tom Brevoort came out. He didn't need to, but he said that there was no official coupling of
Dude,
yeah.
Jean
that was
Grey and
so
Wolverine and Cyclops.
stupid. Greg, I
It
when
was.
you guys talked, I think you guys talked about that. And not to get too meta, I feel like a fanboy on his favorite podcast. But I think it was like 2 episodes ago. You guys talked about that, and I totally agree with you
Yeah.
when you guys were saying like, yeah, there's no need to like dispel that. Like look at poor Chris. He was really just he was happy just having the mystery.
Yeah.
Now it's a deflated balloon. It's like, here, kid, play with this.
Truthfully, in my headcanon, I don't care what Tom says because A, he wasn't involved.
True.
But B, all I heard when you were talking about that, Greg, on the show was, okay, boomer. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
You were editing Avengers. Shut the fuck up.
yeah, exactly. One of the shout out to Jason Aaron. Love Jason Aaron, but you were editing one of the least well received Avengers books in recent memory. So
yeah,
get out of here.
Yeah, Kira. I mean CB. Yeah. Or Tom. Damn, I'm over here making fun of the wrong person. Sorry. Whoops.
The last thing I want to say about the Krakoan era, and I think it's fitting to bring it up during Pride Month, is that there seemed to be a very unified LGBTQ queer voice for the X-Men and just the surrounding books. A lot of the creators were very out and proud with their sexuality and their identity, as well as some of the X-Men characters. And I see online that a lot of people who identify as gay or lesbian or trans or queer really connected with these X-Men books on a very deep level that was just higher than just a fun superhero book. So I think during Pride Month, it makes sense to highlight that. Not only was this a fun, exciting action book, but it was also tackled a lot of current and complicated views about sexuality and pride about sexuality. So I just want to hang the hat on that X-Men run as well.
Yeah. I think what they did with the Gala books.
X-Men, that is so. Oh, sorry, Badr. Go ahead.
Uh-oh. I'm frozen.
You good? You there?
I think
We're gonna keep going, and Badr's gonna catch up.
Okay.
Yeah, I just caught up. Go ahead, continue.
Moving on to
the funniest part is that you guys don't edit any of the. Okay.
Oh, he's good. He's here.
You guys don't edit.
I'm
any
here.
of it, so we're just gonna have to listen to the Badr phase out for a moment, and all of us react to it.
Hey, we're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Run it.
The final piece of regular news I want to bring up is it got announced that Steve Orlando is doing a new Avengers book called Avengers Assemble. They're bringing it back to the Avengers Mansion. They're bringing back those swanky ass leather jackets that I love so goddamn much. But the important thing, and mostly the more unique thing about this, is it's Captain America, who's been away from the Avengers for a while, with kind of a ragtag group. And I want to read off this list of members of this Avengers Assemble book. We have Captain America, Steve Rogers, Wasp, Hawkeye, Clint Barton, Hercules, She-Hulk, Photon, Night-Thrasher, who hasn't had a prominent book since like the 90s, Lightning, who has never had a book, Wonder Man, Shang-Chi, and then Lightspeed, who is from Power Pack, I believe.
Mm-hmm. What is this lineup?
It is.
What is this?
This truly is a bunch of names on a board and throwing darts and seeing where they land. That's where you're making a team out of that.
Yeah.
And so it's a 5-series run. It starts in September 11th. Never forget. And what do you guys think about this lineup we got going on here?
Oh goodness.
It's like they rolled some dice.
You had me at Captain America, Hawkeye, and Shang-Chi.
Yeah. I mean, I like the diversity of the team, of course, but yeah, I don't know. It feels weird. I'm the problem here, but it feels weird having an Avengers team that doesn't have Iron Man and Thor on it, right? Like, I feel like you have to have Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man at least, and then you can play around with the other characters. But like those three, I think are just so intrinsically tied to the team. It'd be like having the X-Men team and not having Scott or Jean or Wolverine on the team, right? And I know that there are variations, of course, but like this seems to be something that Steve Orlando is wanting to do for a while. But again, call me whatever. I think maybe adding some new voices to an Avengers team could be fun and exciting.
I'll be honest. I think I'm on the opposite side, where knowing that this is a spinoff, I think this is almost too boring of a cast. I think Shang-Chi is. I mean, it's like, all right, She-Hulk, Hawkeye, like her. These are all these have all been members of the Avengers. I guess for a spin-off book that, it's like, well, you got a little more free reign. Like, why not dip into the X-Men, or some of Marvel's, maybe like monsters
Dr.
or
Bong.
something like that. Dr. Bong. Yeah, Dr. Bong, side by side of Cap.
Stiltman.
So I don't know. To me, this is kind of I don't know. It's kind of a boring list, Like, I'm like, all right, She-Hulk. I've read stories with her. Photon, read stories with her. I don't know. I guess for me, it's like, okay, for a spinoff, come on, Steve Orlando, you probably had like free reign. But Shang-Chi is a nice touch, though. I do like Shang-Chi on the team.
I think to answer some of the questions there, as far as the lineup goes, is this is going to be a direct spin out from the Blood Hunt event that's happening right now.
Okay.
And so that may answer the question why certain members that are usually in the Avengers aren't in this cast right now, but without spoiling any Blood Hunt.
This is also running in parallel with the main Jed MacKay Avengers book, right? So all those like normal folks, Captain Marvel, Thor, Hulk, they're all on the main Avengers team based in outer space right now. And my guess is this is going to be like Avengers West Coast, where like when the A squad is busy handling Kang, these B squad guys handle the mole people that are
getting
attacking.
cats out of trees.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an odd cast. So Badr, you're right when you're just like, this is just odd to me. But to see Night-Thrasher in there again, you're just like, he finally got the phone call and he's like, yeah, I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Okay.
I'm in the bushes.
All right. You know what, Greg? I actually forgot you said Night-Thrasher because I'm looking at the image and he's not on the cover on this promotional art. Where is he? You know what I'm saying? It's like
his fucking hand. If they only used his hand.
Like, what the fuck? Why is the black guy not like getting any love on the damn cover?
It's like he was late for the picture, and they're just like, we gotta keep going.
Now, you know what? They sent Night-Thrasher to go get the cat down the tree. They're like, hey, we got this photo shoot. If you don't mind, you're the rookie. You haven't had a title in a while.
No, somebody's got to take the picture. Night-Thrasher's behind the camera.
He's like, man, I'm just happy to be here, to be honest.
Looks like Night-Thrasher's getting a ongoing too this year. Did you guys see that?
An ongoing?
Yeah.
Whoa, who's writing that?
Let's see here. Oh no, I'm so sorry. It looks like it was actually a mini series. It came out in February. I didn't realize that this ever came out, but yeah, it was Jason Holtham as a writer and Nelson Daniel. It's a 4-issue series. So
holy shit!
Yeah.
Did you guys really quick? I had clicked on the Night-Thrasher hyperlink in that article that I think Greg you're also reading on Marvel.com, and it took me to his character page. Did you guys know that they give stats on their character page? Like they've got here's the categories. And I mean, it's Night-Thrasher, so please be prepared for some of these numbers. They got durability. They got him ranked at 2. I think it might be out of 8 or 10.
Shit,
energy.
Ducks at least a 3.
That's kind of low, right? Like, all he wears is like
like
roller ring.
armor.
Yeah, like durability 2. All right, they've got energy as a category 0. Fighting skills, they have him at a 6, which almost looks kind of full. Intelligence a 3, a speed 2, strength 2. What the fuck is he doing on the Avengers then?
Why are we going in on Night-Thrasher right now? What did he do to us?
Listen, we didn't.
Look,
Marvel did. We're just
exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
This is our job.
Is this the new podcast? We just compare character stats. Who's more durable, Moon Knight or Night-Thrasher?
You guys
I'll
keep
fire
vamping.
myself.
I have the Marvel. It's the Marvel Universe official handbook. I'm gonna look up Night-Thrasher, see if I can find some more info.
Yeah.
It's just a blank page. So Chris, while you're doing that, I'm excited for it. I think a 1 in 5. I think a 5 series issue run is apt for this. I'm excited to see what Steve Orlando does. We've gone on record that we are about 50-50 on stuff that he has worked on. So I'm always excited to read something that he's done. So I'm hoping that he nails it out of the park for this Avengers Assemble line. And I hope Night-Thrasher gets his roses.
Yeah, come on, Marvel. Get your shit together.
I'm currently in book number 4, and Night-Thrasher is nowhere in here. So
oh god,
I don't
He
know.
wasn't even strong enough to be put in the book.
I mean, I think the handbooks came out in the mid '80s, and he didn't premiere until Mighty
He was in the
Thor.
90s.
Yeah.
It was 1989. Yeah, Mighty Thor 411. So I wonder if maybe he was just not part of the U
Slab it.
at the
Slap it.
slap it. Get your Night-Thrasher first appearance while they're hot.
Key alert.
Someone look up how much Mighty Thor 411
You
at
said
9.8 is.
key alert. That's good.
Key alert.
Yeah. Warning. Key alert. Warning.
Mike D's gonna get a little tipsy tonight and order Thor 411 for sure.
Yeah.
Mighty
Wait,
Thor.
was Night-Thrasher the one that also skateboarded? Am I thinking of
Yeah.
the same person?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. That's why his durability so low is a little disheartening. It's like, yo, that's all he wore was football gear and the type of helmet that your mom made you wear when you first started skateboarding. Like, come on, give my man
if
some
you can
respect.
take down Shield and Nolly, I think you should get more durability.
Okay, so it's a little misleading. Mighty Thor
And an
411. It's the first appearance of the New Warriors, so it's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
a little bit of value.
Oh,
at
right,
a 9.8 at 169 is what I'm seeing. 175.
CLZ says it's $19 raw.
$19 for all. There you go.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out to the New Warriors ruining Civil War. By the way, they're the reason everything got blown up. So
True
Yeah,
story.
true.
Yep.
I think it's
Speedball.
kind of the same fuckery with Frog as a Thor as a frog and Throg.
yeah,
Like two different
Yes.
characters, but like people get them confused all the fucking time.
yeah.
I don't know how. One's in the Pet Avengers and one's not. It's that easy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so now we've moved on to this part where Andy has brought me a story that I don't really know how to digest.
Oh boy.
My favorite
This
segment
is
on the First Issue Club.
this is some shit. So all right, so I read the headline and I was like, all right, this is like worth digging into, okay? And then it just got weirder from there. So the headline is steamy Star Wars parody lands creators in hot water. And I open it up and it's a Kickstarter
First of
campaign.
all, A+ title to that article. Like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
listening.
beautiful.
They got me.
Yeah.
They got me. They had me at steamy Star Wars, honestly. So I open it up and what it is it's a Star Wars parody Kickstarter comic, right? But the guy who's suing them or threatening legal action is the creator of Lady Death.
Oh, sure. God.
And the reason that he's being litigious here is they have a character in their Star Wars parody book called Star Whores, by the way.
Featuring Boba Fuck.
Okay, so the character that he has umbrage with is Lady Darth, and it's a sexy, pale Darth Vader ripoff, and she's in a bikini, right? So she kind of looks like Lady Death.
Keep in
And she's-
mind, George Lucas during all of this has been completely silent.
Yeah. Disney does not have a problem with this. Disney. So he's saying you're ripping off my character Lady Death, whatever. You're clearly infringing on my copyright. And they fucking clapped back, right?
Yeah.
They are like, this is clearly parody. They give the definition of parody. They pulled up a bunch of different variants that Lady Death has had, including Lady Death as Darth Vader with a red lightsaber.
Thank you.
Topless.
I was waiting to get to that part of the story where Lady Death has been homaging popular covers and characters since the beginning of its creation.
Yeah, and there's also a Star Wars #1 variant cover for Lady Death where it's called Death Wars, and she looks like whatever. So, again, the whole like the gall of a guy who the creator of a character like Lady Death, where I'll say it, 80% of your sales are due to your homage covers. You're gonna be the guy who calls people out for copyright infringement.
Right.
Really?
I mean,
And the line that got me was he said, or their lawyer is claiming that any parody work, any homage cover has to get the rights from the original copyright holder to do an homage. And
Which
like,
is just false.
yeah, like flagrantly false.
if you guys just Google Brian Polito, just do that for me. I mean, he looks like he calls women females, and this guy definitely owns. Like he's wearing an Ed Hardy shirt right now. Like as we're talking about him, there's no way he's not. So,
All right. And after you do that, really quick, after you finish that Google search, go and search Star Whore and have fun down this rabbit hole that I've been on silently.
I have that bookmarked already. I've had it ready to go.
My wife makes me put safe search on, so I can't Google that.
Okay,
Greg,
well,
why are you typing
just
in
know,
Star
just
Wars?
know there's 3 movies worth of Star Wars. All right, the search for Spunk.
Oh, I'm looking at Brian Polito right now, and his favorite band for sure is Disturbed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Mhm. He gets all the backstage passes and all that.
Oh man.
So the big conversation here is,
Oh my God, he does look like someone that would have created Lady Death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is exactly
These tracks.
who the
Okay.
fuck created Lady Death.
Yeah.
so the big conversation here is like parody and copyright and all that stuff. And clearly the creators of Star Whores are not in any legal trouble here, because
Thank God.
God bless them. Not only have they not parodied Lady Death in any way, shape, or form, because in the article that you sent me, Vargas, there's like a picture of Lady Death and a picture of Lady Darth, and they have maybe 1 or 2 similarities, as do most characters ever created. 2 eyes, a nose, same color hair, stuff
Big
like
old
that.
titties.
Yeah, like Winnie the Pooh. What was interesting about this article was that it mentioned that Coffin Comics, or Chaos Comics at the time, was the 4th highest comic book publisher when it was around. That means it was probably Marvel, DC, maybe Image, maybe Dark Horse in like the 90s, early 2000s, and then fucking Chaos Comics.
Yeah.
A lot of pervs in the 90s, everybody. A lot
That
of pervs.
just proves that sex sells, and that
Dude,
there's a large group of people that I don't want to talk to anymore.
Don't say people.
They-
Men in their 50s. That's who the folks that are buying these books still.
I mean, they've got. To this day, they still have such a large presence in the previews. I don't know if it's still Chaos Comics or it's underneath a different imprint, but the Lady Death section of the previews is one that I quickly flip through if I'm in like bed reading the digigial version of previews.
Blythe is
And I don't want Blythe like rolling over like, what the fuck? Is that Shauna, the she-devil?
Why are they kissing?
Yeah.
It just goes to show that like publishers like Dynamite and stuff that kind of rely on these clickbaity covers that really kind of veered towards one type of viewer kind of have more clout than I maybe gave them credit for.
Yeah.
It maybe explains why Dynamite is still around.
And I guess I don't want to come off like I'm shaming someone's fun, but I guess I've just never been interested to even try to get into that. But I won't sit here and say that I'm not slightly aroused that they've had such a presence. I didn't know, for starters, I didn't know they were the 4th largest publisher at one point. But like I said, I think there is something to be said that they have such a large presence in the previews that they're still around. I mean, obviously we're not the target demo, but whatever they're doing for their fan base, that's they're doing it right.
Found their demo and they are mining
exactly
to death.
Yep. There's a very particular person that buys books like these. You know them. You're thinking about them right now, and they will continue to buy these books. Again, like we joke about the Jungle Fever, I think Vampirella and Barbarella and those books are like their PG-13 books that they buy for the story, right? The other books that they buy, the Do You Poos of the world and all that, those are the books that they, I don't know, like Badr, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. Whatever you're into, I don't care. Just don't
yucks anyone's yum. There you go.
Whatever, that's fine. But just it's an odd, in my opinion, it's a slightly odd demo to like get into. I don't know.
I would be curious though to learn, like if you were to ask like a diehard whatever Lady Death fan, hey, what are the best? What's the best story that if you had to convince someone to try this out, like give me the cream of the crop? And I'm curious, like how that would hold up.
They're
You
like,
know,
Bill Willingham had a really good miniseries in the late 90s.
You're like, wait, what the fuck?
Whoa, what? Yeah, he got Alex Ross covers. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Tom King really cut his teeth on some Lady Death comics in the early 2000s.
Bill Willingham had a really good run. That's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stanley had that one shot. I'd be like, oh yeah, no, I can believe that.
Yeah, Bernie Wrightson and Alan Moore really knocked it out of the park with their run.
Yeah.
God.
Deconstruction of Barbarella.
The only way I'm going to read a Lady Death is if Grant Morrison's just like, let me take a crack at it.
Bro,
Yeah,
now
for
you're
sure.
talking.
Well, listen, so Sydney Sweeney is doing a Barbarella movie later this year. So there might be, you guys, there may be a time where I hop on, Omnibus or previews or something like that. And I'm like, well, let me catch up on Barbarella really quick,
Have you guys
Yeah,
watched
that-
the original Barbarella?
Oh, yeah. Is it Jane?
Yeah, it's
Fonda?
trash.
It is not trash. It is beautiful. And 13-year-old Greg will tell you to shut your mouth.
Yeah, we ain't here to yuck anyone's yum.
You guys can keep that.
Okay, so I think we all know how that's gonna go down. This whole
Yeah.
lawsuit thing. There was I read in the article that it's from it's sourced from a site called Comics Illustrated, which is ran by the people who are doing the Star Horrors Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And so, if you really want to see the tea about this whole situation, I encourage you to go find that Comic Book Resources article about Star Wars and then go to the Comics Illustrated site, because it's about 10,000 words of these people just trashing the creator of Lady Death. And wow, it's like listening to a couple argue in an Applebee's in the table next to you.
After a couple raspberries.
Yeah.
Dollar raspberries.
It is.
That's a corner of the medium and a corner of the internet I do not want to go down. I will just take your word for it, Greg.
Yeah.
They
it was
end
spicy.
their legal response to the initial cease and desist with, "It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground."
Fucking hell. Ugh.
So
Bars.
good. So good.
Well, let's get into comic books, shall we? This week we read a plethora of comic books, so we're going to go a little quicker than normal. We may stay in some books longer than others, just so we can get them all in, so you know what to go get at your LCS this week. I will start us off with, I read Scarlet, part of the Energon universe, from Kelly Thompson and Marco Ferrari. If you're not aware of who Scarlet is, it's not really advertised that she's in G.I. Joes or Transformers.
Should I go and expose myself now, or should we just blow past it?
Yeah, no.
I was going to leave it ambiguous. Chris,
I'll
but go
expose
right
myself.
ahead.
I don't care.
Let's hear the story, you fucking casual.
I'm a filthy casual, everybody. I go to my comic shop and I'm like, Kelly Thompson's got a new book out. I got to go get it. So I go and I go to my LCS. I walk in. I'm like, hey, can I get the new Scarlet? They said, yeah, it's over there on the shelf. We should have plenty. I go over the S's. It's not there. I go, that's weird. I guess I'll just get the Leo Romero version because I love Kelly Thompson and Leo's Birds of Prey over at DC. And they go, no, there's plenty of cover A's. Just go over the G.I. Joe section. I'm like, what? Scarlet is in G.I. Joe? What? So, yeah, I'm a filthy casual, everybody. I didn't know.
Wait, so did you? What did you? Wait, you didn't know that she was like part of this Energon universe?
I had no idea.
Oh, you thought this was just like a separate
creator-owned
stand?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris. I mean, I'm a casual, but you are a filthy fucking casual.
Bonner,
Wow.
I talked to Brian K. Vaughn earlier today. Shush your
Wow,
mouth.
you're right. You're right.
Well, and
I bow.
actually, it's kind of a benefit because it speaks how highly good this book is. It's treated like an espionage story. Scarlet is trying to break up this human trafficking ring, and it goes wrong. And then she's like kind of shoehorned into a G.I. Joe mission to acquire something else. There's some spoiler surprises at the end that I won't ruin for anyone, but it was an amazing read. It kind of showed how badass Scarlet is as a spy and as a soldier and as a person who can jump out of a helicopter and ski down a mountain. It's just it was a beautiful way to show that Scarlet is more than just the girl G.I. Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, Rachel Nichols in the movies is one of the hottest people in existence. I just want to say that really quickly. But also, yeah, I just want to echo what you're saying. It's a beautiful book. As someone who, again, didn't know that this was part of the Energon universe, looking at it right now over on Omnibus, #1 digital reader and shop on the internet.
All right, you got it then.
Greg, how much? I'm sorry, not Greg. Chris, how much are they paying you? God damn it.
I can neither confirm nor deny that this is a paid promotion, but I will say that as it's a very easy read on the internet. You can read it either iOS or Android device or on your web browser. That said, it's a good looking book. This is I'm excited about this, and coming from someone who's not really keeping up with the Energon universe outside of Transformers, this might be one that this is going to be my G.I. Joe pocket right here, right? Like this is going to be my corner in the Energon universe for the G.I. Joes.
Yeah, Energon has been such a smooth entry point into a very complicated history of characters.
Yeah.
I mean, G.I. Joe and Transformers were immersed in 80s pop culture. And then as, it moved on and progressed through the 90s and early 2000s, it got muddy real fucking quick, kind of like them turtles. But I feel like this new reboot, and we're going to talk about another reboot here in a second, is going so well that it's kind of going to be a new resurgence into these characters, and I'm very excited for my G.I. Joe buddies and my Transformer friends. They're going to be eaten very, very well.
Shit, they've had a buffet for the last year.
I do have the Duke trade waiting to be read. I just want to put that out there that I am trying, everybody.
Hey, as long as you're trying.
Now you're making me self-conscious about my Energon knowledge.
Well, you have about 400 pounds of comic books behind you. Like that, you're okay.
Yeah.
Just know that Energon is not a guy named John. His name is not John.
Oh, well, then I'm fucking out.
How can I read Energon when I'm too busy reading Lady Death?
You're not reading Lady Death. You're experiencing it.
I'm living.
Those pages are stuck together.
You could definitely read through 400 pounds of Lady Death comics in an hour.
Yeah.
In about an hour.
Yeah. Not a lot of dialogue in those books, everybody.
Yeah, they don't even go by page number. They go by poundage.
How many tonnage of Lady
Bars.
Death do you have?
Hey, Andy, that was a double entendre, all right? And I'm here for it. That was good.
The other book I read was the TMNT Alpha kickoff.
Nice.
Which,
shout out to Donnie.
This is where the Donatello story is highlighted. It's called Long Way From Home, written by Jason Aaron and art by Chris Burnham. And then we get a Monster Island story in the back by Tom Waltz and art by Gavin Smith, which I think the Monster Island one is going to move directly into the Mutant Nation book that they're also going to be doing over at IDW. Both stories were fantastic. The Donatello story is kind of our first entry point into the new Jason Aaron era. And we have a displaced Donatello kind of like on this, I don't know, island getaway where you have to fight creatures.
like an Alcatraz or some kind of, yeah.
And we can tell now that not all is well with the brothers. It's alluded to that they've been disbanded or haven't talked in a while. So, in classic Jason Aaron form, he has taken something that I love and broken it, and he is now going to put it back together in a very pleasing way.
Yeah.
In the follow-up story, we get a story with Hob, who is a common character in the TMNT series, who is like they have their own little island where all the mutants live, and there's like they're trying to form their own Krakoa essentially, where they can live in peace. And it's just a lot of I won't spoil it, but there's an experiment gone wrong that is very, very cool to see, and like new mutations are happening. So I'm very excited for Mutant Nation, the side book that's going to be out in tandem with the mainline Turtle story. So all in all, I'm actually very optimistic about this new TMNT reboot. Chris, I think you said you also read the Alpha. What did you think of it?
I liked it a lot. I will say in those opening pages, and I hope this isn't a spoiler for anybody, but sort of the setup is that this finance guy is wanting to blow off some steam, right? And he goes to this island to, I guess, abuse some animals or something. I don't know. And when he's looking over his options, when we see the turtle, because we don't see which turtle it is initially, he goes, "Show me your most ferocious beast you've got." And the turtle behind the cage says, "That'd be me." And my first thought was, that's definitely Rolf. Like, there's no way that's not Raphael. And then when you turn the page and it's Donnie, I'm like, okay, now I'm interested, because Donnie is normally he's the fun nerd, right? He's the guy that's always putting shit together. So to see how far they've gone, and that's Jason Aaron, man. What Jason Aaron does so well is that he takes these broken characters that are a little rough on the edges and makes you sort of root for them. I'm thinking of like Earl Tubbs over in, Southern Bastards, or King Thor in the, in the God of Thunder storyline. So I'm interested to see. And speaking with Jason Aaron about this run on the show, he talked about how he wanted to very distinctly go back to the Mirage era of TMNT, where these guys they're all kind of jerks. Like, they're all a little rough. Like, they will murder you. Specifically, Ralph will murder you, but like all of them will murder you. And I'm interested to see how dark he goes with this. I'm curious to see how much leash he has with IDW in terms of what he can do with this run.
Can I say I almost let out like 2 amens as Chris was speaking? He brought up Earl Tubbs' name by name. I was like about to say, "Amen, brother, amen."
Yeah, Badr just went to church.
No, Chris just took me to church. You just said that Jason Aaron does a good job of breaking characters apart, and when Greg said that he does a good job of breaking them apart, not to get too flowery and whatnot, but I think it kind of ties into my pick that's coming up. But have you guys ever heard of the Japanese art of I think it's called kintsugi?
Yeah.
It means that's the first thing I thought of. And for anyone that might not know, it's a Japanese art of repairing broken objects, usually like pottery or glass, with like you use like gold lacquer or like a gold substance to like bring them together.
I love that. I love that comparison. That's amazing.
Yeah.
There was Kylo Ren's helmet. They also did that in Star Wars.
Oh, well said. That's a great. That is a great nerdy modern.
Dude, when I saw that,
example.
I was like, "Holy fuck!"
Well
that's
said.
the most brilliant thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Andy, did you read Turtles or no?
No, I forgot that it came out and didn't put it on my poll.
That's okay.
I will say that, like,
forgive you.
as someone who's not like, I haven't read any of Sophie's run. Greg, I know you were reading it for a bit and you seem to have liked it. I will say that, like, if you wanted to go, like, I recommend getting this. I agree with you. This is something that you should seek out because it sort of teases what Jason has upcoming. But I think if you went into TMNT #1, because I will just say I've read TMNT #1. How did I get it? Who knows? But I've read it, and I think what happens in that book, none of this ties to that. It's more back matter. And what I think, again, speaking on what Jason Aaron does so well, is that he is a character first writer. Above all else, you're going to at least know what this character has gone through. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people didn't love his Avengers run, is because it seemed like every story arc that he did sort of centered on like 1 to 2 characters and sort of their journey. And when you have to like sort of do an ensemble. So I'm curious what he's going to be able to do with TMNT, because as a big fan of Jason Aaron, I think if there was a weakness for him, it's sometimes with teams, right? Like, he's really good. You give him one character, you give him Wolverine, Hulk, Thor, Earl Tubbs. Like, you give him one character and you center a story around it, he knocks it out of the park. But when he does a team, not always. Like, I love the Wolverine and X-Men run that he had, but But I think outside of that, I'm sort of spacing on anything that he's done super like that I loved. Right.
I will forever be a Jason Aaron Avengers apologist.
Same.
It was just big, dumb fun, and it was glorious.
It is brain candy to the max. No pun intended for the brain that they live in inside of that Celestial and that storyline. But it is total like madness. And I think if you're okay with that, absolutely. I don't want to trash his Avengers run. I think it wasn't well received, which is, I think, undeniable. But I think in terms of like the readability of it, it's a lot of fun in certain aspects. I really like the Moon Knight stuff that he did, where he, I know Vargas, you probably fucking loved whenever he included the moon bits in Mjolnir. I thought that was a really cool touch. But yeah. Overall, I think Jason generally knocks it out of the park. So I'm curious. I'm excited about this TMNT run still.
Chris, why don't you go ahead with your first issue selections for this episode?
Absolutely. So, shameless plug. We're actually, when this episode releases on the First Issue Club, we'll be releasing a bonus interview with David Boer and Drew Zucker, who are the creative team of Kanto, which was formerly at IDW, now is at Dark Horse. And the new run that they're starting with Dark Horse is called A Place Like Home. Now, Kanto, I don't know if you guys have kept up with Kanto or care about Kanto at all, it's a really fun all ages story that kind of owes a lot to Wizard of Oz. It's all the storylines that are baked into Kanto directly tie to Wizard of Oz. Dave has been very vocal about how that's been a big inspiration for him, but it's essentially about this little clockwork hero who the love of his life basically loses her heart. Her heart is stolen, so he has to go on this journey to fight the shrouded man to get the heart. Again, very YA, very again fantasy inspired. But I'm a big fan of the creators. David is one of my good friends in the industry, and Drew is, I think, one of the undiscovered. I don't want to necessarily call him like a genius, but I think he's got a lot of talent. And I think that at some point he will be given a shot somewhere and people will recognize. But yeah, Kanto, this is a great first issue over at Dark Horse. I think they found a good home at Dark Horse now with Kanto. They are billing it as the final issue or the final series. It's a 6-issue. A Place I Come is a 6-issue series. I'm calling bullshit on that. I don't think they're done with Kanto. I think once they get done with this 6-issue series at Dark Horse, this will conclude the story that they started with IDW with Kanto.
Mm-hmm.
But Kanto is a cash cow. It's like fucking Baby Yoda and Goose and Lion Cat all had sex with each other. That's what Kanto is. Your kids at some point will have a Kanto doll. Like I think this has so much commerciality.
Damn.
Like they're gonna keep doing this stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just gonna like Hellboy and the BPRD this, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, Hellboy's
God.
over.
Then
Kid
Mike
Hellboy.
Mignola wrote
Yeah.
the guidebook on how to do that.
Yeah.
That is such an amazing series.
Ain't the
Oh.
truth.
Yep.
Badr, do you have it? You said you had a selection?
Yeah, I'll make mine short and sweet. I've actually got two. One is brand new, and one is new to me, but it's old to everyone else for sure. So I'll start off with the brand new one. I will spotlight Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, which came out this week. I had a chance to read an early review and absolutely loved it for the sense of it just really piqued my interest. It's written by Gary Duggan and Gary Duggan and Gary Brown are co-writing it. And then, wait, am I off?
No,
I think
you're right.
all right.
Different.
Okay.
Different Gary. Gary Gerry, and then Gary Brown.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm trying to figure out who the artist. I'm sorry. Okay, so you got Gary Duggan co-writing it, and Gary Brown is credited as the artist. Okay, so there's a lot of names on this cover, and I'm trying to make sense of who. But considering that you brought up the end of Krakoa era, like it's interesting to see Gary Duggan go this path, like Image, creator-owned title. The overall premise is that, I mean, this is the first issue, so there's not a lot to go off of, right? I'm kind of like referencing the solicitation for the most part, but the story takes place around the sunset of the samurai age and the cowboy age, because I guess apparently they both kind of ended around the same time. And
not a lot of people know that, which is kind of a cool history fact.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't know that until I read this book and did a little more research. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that. So it's interesting that at the same time on two different sides of the world, like these cultures and this lifestyle are coming to an end. And in this particular series, it follows one character, Asami, who is a warrior and female samurai, and then also a gunslinger cowboy by the name of Mac Wraith, something like that. But they're both, dealing with the culture change and, their kind of lifestyle falling out of vogue to, for lack of better terms.
Andy, you also read this book.
You cut out. Keep going though.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, damn. Sorry. Okay. Damn, where was I? Okay, so following a samurai woman and a gunslinger, they both end up dying and they get teleported to this purgatory / hell where there's like demons as well as like other kind of mythical and historical heroes in here as well. So it's just the first issue. You just get a quick introduction about the characters, the landscape, but the art is epic. I'm also a sucker for comic book titles that have these long kind of emo sounding titles. Falling in Love on the Path to Hell sounds like track 3 of an emo CD.
Yeah.
But
Time at the End of the World.
yeah, but like there's just something kind of epic about. I think the title kind of ties it all together, considering like the premise, the characters, and it's enough to pique your interest, is what I'll say for sure. Andy, would you agree? You said you read it.
Totally. I absolutely loved this book. I'm a sucker for Westerns and samurai stuff.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Yeah, and seeing those two things collide is Reese's peanut butter cup for
Yeah.
sure, chocolate and peanut butter.
A lot of people don't know
And
this
to
about
make it-
Vargas. He also loves Gary's as well, so it's a win-win-win.
Yes,
3 wins.
That's
Big fan of
exactly right.
Gary.
Big fan of
Yeah.
Gary.
He's
Gary
like
Bull.
Shanley, Gary Busey.
he's like Gary from SpongeBob.
Meow.
That's right. Yeah, my Gary collection is huge. So having those two genres collide, but in addition, the two cultures having
Mhm.
them collide and sort of, I'm assuming they'll butt heads, right? Because you got the Bushido of the samurai and the kind of like outlaw western thing, but the getting those stories
Mhm.
about this really honorable samurai and this kind of outlaw cowboy, and then having them have to team up and fight through this crazy monster island that I was definitely not expecting in the last 3 pages.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. I'm fucking
mean-
stoked for this book.
I mean, hell, it's in the title and in the solicitation. It mentions like the future lovers are mortally wounded and teleported to this a hellish world. So like what the end is going to be. Well, a sense of the end, but the first issue does a good job of getting the players on the board. And like I can't say enough about the art. It feels kind of like a watercolory, but also like I picked up the first issue because the cover looks like a movie poster to me.
Yeah, it looks like a Star Wars poster.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
got it.
Oh
right there.
wow,
Well, 2 points on
that's
this.
like Seven to Eternity, or was that book?
Yeah,
Dude,
you're right.
I
Seven Eternity,
Greg,
yeah. Mhm.
excellent. Because I swear to God, I was just about to say this looks like that Jerome Opeña and Rick Remender comic in a way.
So 2 points. I had this downloaded on Omnibus. I haven't read it yet, but I will say, number one, you love a $4.99 double issue. Shout out to Image for
Come
always
on.
doing
Yep.
that. And then number two, you guys have talked about the art. Gary Brown was the artist on Baby Teeth with Donnie Cates from a couple years ago over
Oh
at,
wow.
what was that action? What was that?
That was
publisher?
Aftershock.
Aftershock. Thank you. Yeah. So, and that's a great book. That's a good looking book too. So yeah, I mean, this is very enticing for sure.
And the other thing that I'll say about this is I can't mention the end of the samurai era and the end of the Western without mentioning that the fax machine was invented 10 years before this book takes place. So
No,
can't
wow.
wait for them to use the fax machine.
Yeah.
In hell, where all fax machines deserve to be.
That's my complete non sequitur for the episode.
Yeah.
Also, quick shout out. We're talking about samurais. To all of our friends in New York and LA, please go see the 4K version of Seven Samurai that's coming to theater because I
Nice.
fucking can't.
Yeah, for real.
I have the Criterion, so I don't think I need to.
I do too, but I want to see the 4K
but I want to see it in
restoration.
4K.
Yeah,
I wanna see it
man.
in 4K in the big screen, Chris.
4K.
What was your second one, Badr?
Okay, the second one, super quick. This is an oldie, but new to me. I had the opportunity to interview Tony Fleece. I've been saying Fleece like a dummy for years. Tony Fleece. And I had never read Stray Dogs, but I'm reading Feral. And after like doing some research about Tony and, like why he started Stray Dogs and, the massive success that book had, I decided to dig into it last night, actually. And I got through like the first 3 issues. I could have finished the whole damn book, but I literally could not keep my eyelids open. And I cannot believe I waited this long to read Stray Dogs. It is such a fun, cool concept. I don't know how I overlooked the murder mystery part with animals, but I'm like, yo, this is a genius fucking idea. And I think the more you learn about Tony Fleece and and you start thinking about all his books, he is an idea guy that happens to also execute really well. And so I just want to highlight that if you've never read Stray Dogs, start with the first issue. I guarantee you'll finish the rest of it in a night, in a fortnight.
You mentioned that Tony's kind of a hip hop head. What can we look forward
Dude.
to with your interview?
Some me geeking out like a fucking nerd when I confirmed that he is indeed a hip hop head, and I completely derailed the conversation to have a music talk. But he was super awesome, and I'll probably have that episode up a week from this one, or maybe 2 weeks from this one, Aaron. So
Did you guys just
That's
trade
sick.
favorite Outcast songs to each other back and forth until one of you passed out?
when we started, he's also a big Jay-Z fan, so I definitely capitalized on that conversation.
Yeah. I will say, Feral and Stray Dogs, two books that have just as many covers, if not more, than Lady Death. So that's all I'll say.
I was gonna say,
Oh.
I think everyone at the first issue club, I could be wrong, but I think everybody kind of rolled their eyes. At least I did when it was like, oh, every cover of this is a horror homage. Pass. This is
Dude.
gonna be trash.
He actually he answered how that came about, and he was not, and I won't tell his story, but it was a very interesting story that he was a little hesitant about even doing those. And it was like a perfect amalgam of like the artist he was working with, as well as like Image being like, actually, that's a really smart idea because it gets the point across that this is about a murder mystery with animals. And when he said that, I was like, wow, that is, as someone that works in marketing, sometimes those very simple, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just such a simple concept, and it gets the point across without shoving it in your face,
But
Yeah.
we, as like Wednesday Warriors, we roll our eyes at the multiple covers and all that, but it's
For
a smart
sure.
business move for the masses, the people,
Yeah.
the people who are
Yeah.
picking up Stray Dogs
Yep.
for the first time. Like, think about how many people had the ability to read Stray Dogs because of the amount of covers it had. So,
Dude, same. Yeah, and when you hear him explain it, you'll be like, all right, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad it worked for you. But to Chris's point, it's like, how many people might have picked that book up because it was like, oh, this is a homage to whatever Halloween or whatever horror movie that I love. I'll check it out, and then probably read it like I did and was like, oh shit, there's actually something to this.
mhm.
Yeah.
Dope. Andy.
It's my turn. So I read Falling in Love with the Path to Hell. Definitely recommend that. I also read Profane from Peter Milligan and Raul Fernandez out on Boom. How to describe this book? I'll say this at the top of my review. Go into this book knowing nothing about it because you will have a
That's
better
how I
time.
approach every book.
I mean, truly, but like you will have a better time reading this book if you don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Because the reveal at the end is like that much more impactful. It's one of those books I read like 80% of the way through and I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's vaguely intriguing. And then you get to that last 20% and you're like, oh my God, this is really awesome. So I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a murder mystery investigation. You've got this black detective in this kind of hard-boiled crime, femme fatale, all that kind of stuff. And he's investigating this murder. He doesn't remember anything about his past. We, as the reader, don't know anything about his past. About halfway through the book, he does like a seance where he pours whiskey on top of cigarettes and lipstick and a book.
And Constantine rises from the ashes.
Dude, it's like he like goes to this other world and like gets pieces of the mystery from this seance thing that he does.
What?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like,
Huh.
and then you get to the twist at the end, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody here that wants to read this book, but the payoff at the end of the book is worth any confusion you pick up reading it.
So, Andy, it's
What was
very
that book
funny.
name again? What was it called again?
Profane, Profane, Profane.
It's very funny you say that because another Peter Milligan book that I love called Dogs of London, the first issue, the first 80%, I was just like, what the fuck am I reading? And then the last 20%, he turns on the fucking nitrous. And like I fell in love with the book, and I was like, "This, like, I will never doubt Peter Milligan ever because it's just like he slow burns you for like 3/4 of the book, and he's just like, now that I got these fuckers on the hook, let's amp it up to 11."
Yeah,
And if you haven't read Dogs of London, it is incredible. But it's always the hook at the end for Peter Milligan that really makes him an amazing creator.
yeah. And there's another, there's a big twist at the end that like this book isn't what you thought it was. What was happening isn't what you thought it was, or what you thought was happening is different than what you thought. Anyway, whatever. I would definitely recommend it. I'll spoil it for you guys later if you want, but like I said, go into it knowing nothing because you'll have a better ride.
Yeah.
And the other book I read was The Ultimates out on Marvel.
I was excited about this one.
Yeah, this is their reboot of, the Avengers inside the Ultimate Universe, and this is the first Ultimate book that actually feels like the closest to its source material. It's an Avengers book, the Iron Lad and Doctor Doom and Thor, Valkyrie, Captain America all team up, and these are like the heroic versions. They're all different inside the Ultimate Universe now, but they team up and they've got to time travel to try and save this reality because it's going to be destroyed in 18 months. So there's like Jonathan Hickman style, Inception loops of time travel.
You said Doom is on the team?
Doom is on the team, but it's actually Reed Richards. This universe is Reed Richards.
Oh, so it's the
picks up from Ultimate
Is the Maker?
The Maker, yeah.
Ultimate Wars?
No, the Maker's the bad guy.
Oh,
right.
He's still trapped in his own city.
So
what was the name of the series that preceded Ultimate Spider-Man in this? Ultimate Invasion?
Ultimate Invasion, yeah.
Yeah, so this is carried from that. Yeah, so Reed Rich is a future version of Reed Richards as Doctor Doom and Maker. Yeah. So so it continues from that where it ended, where he's like, in 18 months, Maker's coming back and we got to get ready.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this is it spins directly from that.
Perfect.
So you will definitely get more out of this if you've read those other series, but it does kind of baby bird you that information if you didn't read any of it.
Sign me up.
1000 why I am not reading it.
Listen, I have the entirety of Amazing Spider-Man, X-Men, the Ultimates, and Ultimate Black Panther ready to go. I'm just waiting for a day when I want to. It's just
waiting for your appointment at the DMV.
Yeah.
Boy, ain't that the truth.
I just need to find the will. I know Amazing Spider-Man
Let me
is
go ahead.
good. That's what I've heard.
Let me buy an empty composition notebook because I'm gonna need to take notes.
Yeah, yeah. This is one of those things that I haven't bought in quite yet. I've heard good things about this universe thus far. I'm just kind of waiting. So maybe the Ultimates, like I said a moment ago, I think is the one I was most excited for, based on just like the team and the creative team looks good too. So yeah. Okay.
Well, let me give you the breakdown of this book because it's actually pretty interesting. So they spend the first couple pages, like I said, kind of baby birding you information. But the plan they come up with is to send objects and like information back in time to try and create superheroes in the present day. So all these different heroes, like Peter Parker's Spider-Man, right? They send the spider that bit Peter Parker to Spider-Man to get him to become Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
and the
work
bullet
out.
That kills Uncle Ben. They mail that back to him.
Yeah, exactly. And then Uncle Ben dies. Yeah, you get it. But it doesn't work out for most heroes. Like they either die by suicide or like their powers make them explode or like whatever. It does not work out.
Don't fuck with time. Isn't that
correct?
That's the age-old thing, right?
Yeah.
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
Yeah, you don't Doctor
Back to
Who
the Future
time.
teach us nothing.
Yeah.
But in this issue, the big set piece is they go and find Hank and Janet Pym, who are exterminators, which is fucking hilarious.
Was Hank beating the shit out of Janet in this moment, or no?
Whoa,
No.
that's 616, buddy.
That's like the crux of this book. Is he's like, I've seen all this stuff that I've done in this other universe, and I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the hero, but I don't want to be that shithead that
Vargas,
slaps his wife around.
It's a quick slide in here. I just love that Marvel is just so behind in trying to fix this. Like they have ruined the character of Hank Pym, and they have absolutely no idea how to fix him. They've tried so hard over the years, and they just can't do it. But go ahead.
Right,
they even combined Ultron with him at one point. Just whatever. Okay. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. No, it's terrible.
Yeah. It's a broken character at this point.
He is, which is tragic because whatever. Anyway, so that's like the crux of this story is they're trying to contact them in person to get them to become heroes. And there's that inner turmoil that Hank Pym has where he's like, I want to be a hero, but I don't want to be that guy. Janet Van Dyne, of course, is all for it. She immediately becomes the Wasp.
It's like, stop hitting me. I will be a superhero.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have to be a superhero to keep you from hitting me, right?
Exactly.
God.
But it's a fun story. I don't know that I'm like 100% sold on this Ultimate Universe, with the exception of Ultimate X-Men, because what Peach Momoko is doing is absolutely incredible. But this is a book I'll probably pick up the first trade, and if it goes well, I'll continue reading it. But it was a fun story. It's a cool twist on all these characters. You know, Tony Stark is Iron Lad in this, and he's got like the Kang face marks on his mask. So there's a lot of like cool homage stuff to, you know, 616, and are these characters going to become versions of the heroes and villains we know? Are they going to blaze their own trail?
Is there an endpoint to the Ultimate stuff that they're doing, or they're just kind of like waywardly bumbling through?
Insane cash cow for them right now. So I would imagine they're going to keep this train rolling for as long as they can until people stop buying it, which happened in the original Ultimate Universe. That shit sold like gangbusters. Then all of a sudden, 100 issues of Bendez's Spider-Man wasn't selling no more, and they had to put. And it was funny because as soon as it stopped selling, they introduced Miles, and then they just like destroyed it all. So,
yeah, I think you're exactly right, Chris. They'll keep doing this until the money dries up. Yeah. But it is, you know, as someone who's a sucker for alternate takes on superheroes, this is like kind of right up my alley.
This solves the Elseworld story for Marvel. Like, obviously DC is doing their Elseworld stuff. This is exactly what Marvel can do. They can just branch off this new Ultimate Universe, and they don't have to adhere to anything that they did in the 2000s, and just create a whole new line of Elseworld Marvel characters.
Yeah, here's what's it's happen. It's somewhere between Elseworlds and What If, right? Like, what if Reed Richards was Doctor Doom?
Yeah.
They're going to create some badass character in this new Ultimate runs, and they're going to be like, fuck, we got to keep them around. So how do we get him into the 616?
Jonathan Hickman, come back and do Secret Wars 2. Do the same thing. Wars. Battleworld is back.
Another hamburger in Miles' pocket saves the entire...
This time, though, Lady Death pulls the spine out of Thanos' body.
Finally.
Lady Death is... well... Gentlemen, I think we have completed what I like to call an episode.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
I greatly appreciate you both for joining and for allowing us to be a part of the Regal group that we call the Comic Gents. Before we sign off, Chris, Badr, can you please tell people where they can find you, what you have coming up? Chris, start us off, and then Badr, take it home with the intro and your stuff.
Yeah, so OblivionBarPodcast.com, new episodes every Monday with my co-host Aaron and I, where we review the week in the week of nerd, essentially anything that's happening significant that week in nerd culture we like to cover. I'd say probably our main pillars are movie reviews and also creator interviews. So we've got a couple cool ones coming up. We've got let's see here. David Pepos will be on next week talking about Space Ghost and Moon Knight and Punisher. In a couple weeks, we have Kyle Starks and Ryan Brown talking about Barfly over at Minor Threats. And, of course, the aforementioned Brian K. Vaughan will be on the show the week of San Diego Comic-Con. So there is also a secret interview hidden in there before Brian K. Vaughan that I cannot say, but I know Badr and Greg both know who I'm talking about. I'm just not going
mad jelly.
I'm not going to say who it is yet until it's real. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
OblivionBarPodcast.com, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, we're there.
Okay, I can't believe I got to follow up with that. I guess here's what I'll say. After you finish getting your healthy dose of First Issue Club, and then after you listen to an amazing interview on Chris on the Oblivion Bar podcast, and if you still have the mood to listen to comic book talk, might I recommend the third best comic podcast in this group right now? Go check out the Short Box podcast. I've been doing this since 2012. There is probably 100% chance that I have an episode that you will enjoy, whether that be an interview with a creator, with your favorite writer, artist, or someone like that, or just a general conversation about your favorite comic. I've got enough episodes to last, you know. So if you like subpar quality and a lot of it, check out the Short Box podcast.
Well, if you're listening to our show, you know that they do.
Yeah, quantity over quality. I will say,
of course, I'd freeze up.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
We're good. Okay, all right. So I will say, just briefly before we end the show, I said this on the Patreon. I'll say, and I've said it in the group, in the chat. First Issue Club, favorite comic book podcast. Highly recommend it. I know you're listening right now, so you agree. Also, Short Box. is a very close second favorite comic book podcast, only because Badr's usually doing it by himself. When he has Cesar and he has the rest of the crew there, it's the same amount of energy and banter that you guys have over at First Issue Club. So I will say, highly recommend both. And Badr, kind of build off that. My interviews are only as good as they are because of Badr and the work that he walked so I could run, essentially, in terms of the Oblivion Bar, because he is top notch, one of the best interviewers in the comic book landscape. So
Badr is the godfather of all comic book podcasting content.
That's right.
Or as I've been called among the Jax group, the Pod Fod. Big shout out Pod Fod. Big shout out to Todd. No, Greg, Andy, and I wish Mike D was here. That was the only thing I wish about tonight. But you guys know I love First Issue Club. Thank you so much for having me. Only First Issue Club would I be up at midnight talking comic books after a day full of talking comics. But I appreciate it, boys. Thank you. Fun episode.
We greatly appreciate it, and it's amazing to find friends like you in this community, and to share this time with you is great. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for Boulevard for being the sponsor of the show. Remember to be kind to one another, bag and board your treasures, and until next week, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace, y'all.